All right, today we're diving into automation, but I'm gonna bet it's not the kind you're picturing. See, the biggest revolution isn't about those giant factory robots anymore. It's actually happening on the very screen you're probably looking at right now. So let's get into it.
So, let's just start with a quick question. When I say the words job automation, what's the first image that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably something kind of like this.
Exactly. You see these huge, powerful robotic arms, welding car parts, lifting heavy stuff, doing all that physical, demanding work on a loud factory floor. You know, this has been the classic picture of automation for like decades.
But that picture, it's kind of become a myth. It's a story that's actually stopping us from seeing where the real, and frankly much bigger, wave of automation is headed.
For the longest time, the whole conversation about the future of work was all about this one idea: robots replacing blue-collar manual labor. And yeah, it made sense, but it's a super outdated map for the world we're actually living in today.
So let's update that map. The focus of the most disruptive automation is shifting, big time. It's moving away from the factory floor and landing squarely in the office.
The place where automation is really gonna make its biggest splash? It's not the assembly line anymore, not the world of hardware and physical things.
Nope, it's happening right here, in the quiet of an office, on servers, through all those fiber optic cables that connect our entire global economy. The new bullseye is the white-collar desk job. And the tool that's making all this happen? It's not a physical robot at all, it's the software bot. Seriously, don't picture some walking, talking machine. Just think of an invisible digital worker. It's just a program, a piece of code that can perfectly copy and execute all those routine, rules-based tasks that you do on your computer every single day. So why the big shift? Why is a desk suddenly the perfect target for automation? Well, it's because a whole lot of office jobs have basically turned into digital assembly lines.
This quote just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? When you really strip it all down, past the job titles and the fancy office furniture, what are millions and millions of people doing all day? They're processing information on a screen.
Let's break down a super common task, something like processing an invoice. What do? You open an email, you download the PDF attachment, you open up your accounting software, and then you start copying info from one window and pasting it into the other. Then you save it, archive the email, and you're done. And it's not just invoices, right? Think about it. Claims processing, data entry, pulling reports. They're all just a series of logical, repeatable steps.
That step-by-step process is the new assembly line. It's a digital assembly line. And every click, every copy-paste, that's a station. For a software bot, a structured workflow like this is incredibly easy to follow, and it can do it flawlessly thousands of times a day.
And to really see this in action, we don't have to imagine anything. We can look at a massive global industry where this is already happening at a huge scale.
Let's take a look at India's enormous IT and business process outsourcing sector. You know it as BPO. This is an industry with millions of employees. For years, it's been the go-to place for companies to outsource these structured desk jobs, but now it's becoming the #1 testing ground for automating them. So why is BPO the perfect example here? Well, because it's basically the biggest concentration of the most automatable jobs on the entire planet. When you have millions of people doing highly structured tasks, the financial incentive to automate is just huge. In fact, some analyses show that major companies in this space have already cut their costs by 25 to 50% just by putting bots on specific tasks. This is the absolute front line. And at the end of the day, this all comes down to one thing: economics. And when you look at the numbers, the business case for software bots is pretty much impossible to argue with. I mean, the comparison is just, wow, a bot works 24/7, no breaks, no vacations. You pay a license fee instead of a recurring salary with benefits. But the two most critical points are right here. Training time drops from months to mere hours, and the human error rate, it basically goes to zero. For efficiency, it is an absolute game changer. So here's the real kicker. It all comes down to scalability. To automate 1 million factory jobs, you need to build and install 1 million expensive physical robots. But to automate 1 million digital desk jobs, you just copy the code. The speed, the cost, the profitability, it's not even in the same league. Okay, we've gone from the noisy factory floor to the quiet office server. So what are the big things you should really take away from all this?
First off, the main event in automation has moved from physical work to digital work. Second, the jobs that are most vulnerable are the ones built on those structured, repetitive, screen-based tasks, think data entry or claims processing. This suggests that roles needing creativity, strategy, and complex problem-solving are, for now, safer. And finally, this whole shift is being pushed forward by the incredible profitability and easy scalability of software.
Which really just leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. You know, if the assembly line defined the Industrial Revolution and the factory floor was its main stage, what does that make our desks today? Looking at this rise of the software bot, you really have to ask yourself, is your keyboard the new factory floor?